So welcome everybody to this latest video 162 Maths, and in this video we'll be continuing with our series of GCSE revision on an AQA topic test on the higher syllabus, and in this video we'll be focusing on further equations and graphs. Now there will be a copy of the questions for you to download to have an attempt before watching the video and going through the answers. So let's get started on this topic test on further equations and graphs. Now there's no indication of whether this test is a calculator or non-calculator, so where possible what we'll do is we'll not use a calculator, but obviously there may be some calculator questions and some calculations may be a little bit out of depth if it was on a non-calculator paper. So let's have a look at question 1. So it says the teacher asked her class to write a question that combines algebra and geometry. And this is Shana's question. A hexagon has angles of 5x, 5x, 4x, 3x, 2x and x. Work out the value of x and solve Shana's question. So looking at this, then we know that a hexagon has 6 sides. And we know that the total sum of angles is going to be the number of sides multiplied by 180 times, well actually it's going to be the number of sides take away 2, which in this case is going to be 4 times 180, which gives us 720 degrees. So what we've got is we've got to then do 5x plus 5x plus 4x plus 3x plus 2x plus single x equals 720, and that will give us a total sum of angles as 20x equals 720, and then so therefore x equals 36 degrees. Now the next part then says comment on the solution of Shana's question. Now the reason for this particular question, that if x is equal to 36 degrees, then two angles in terms of the 5x angles will equal 180 degrees, which therefore means that they're going to be straight lines. So in fact, this hexagon is actually a quadrilateral. So something along those lines would be good enough for you to get your single mark for that question. Now question 2 says here are 4 graphs, and we've got graph A, graph B, graph C and graph D plotted on this set of axes. And the question says these use these graphs to write the answers to the following problems. So question 2a says I think of a number, I multiply it by 2, subtract 1 and the answer is 4. Now if I just take this, then what we've got in terms of algebra, think of a number which is called x and multiply it by 2 and subtract 1. So what I'm looking at is the graph of y equals 2x minus 1. It says the answer is 4. So where I'm looking for is the x ordinate of this line when y equals 4. So if I go back to the graph of 2x minus 1, which is graph A, so I'm looking at this line here, and I'm looking for where the line crosses, well, meets y equals 4, which is at this point here. This is where 4 is, and that's the point. And what is the x ordinate? Well, that's 2.5. Now, I really don't like this particular question personally, because as it's only worth 1 mark, that you could actually just try and work it out. So for example, again, you could have just rearranged it. So you could have tried to solve 2x minus 1 equals 4. So 2x equals 5 and x equals 5 over 2, which is 2.5. But again, for 1 mark, all they're expecting is to show no working out but the correct answer. And even looking at the mark scheme, there is no indication that you need to mark anything on the graphs. So yeah, for 2 marks, I personally would say that they should have really upped the number of marks available and just got you to try and show some evidence that you have actually used the graphs. Question 2b, it says the sum of two numbers is equal to 6, and what I'm looking for is x plus y equals 6, and the difference between two numbers, so x minus y equals 3, what are the two numbers? Now if I go back to the graph, then the two equations I'm looking for are b and c. So for this, what I'm looking for is where those two, like graph b and c, intersect. So b and c intersect at this point here, So what I'm wanting is that coordinate. So that coordinate there is 4.5 and 1.5. And that's exactly what I'm going to write. So it's 4.5 and 1.5. For question 2c, it says 3 minus 4x equals 0. So again, what I'm looking for is a graph that resembles that, which is going to be graph D, I would say, in terms of 4x and 3. Any others? No. So using graph D, and what we're looking for is if I rearrange this, so I've got 2y equals 3 minus 4x, then all I'm doing here is just working out where and dividing it by 2. But again, personally, I would kind of just be a little bit cheeky. Probably wouldn't write this on the exam, but then I write this as 3/4 in terms of solving. And then for question D, in terms of 2x minus 6 equals 3 minus 4x, all we're looking there is looking for the intersection point. Now, to be some rearranging, we should have the answer of 1/2. Then moving on to question 3, it says the sketch shows the graphs of y equals 2x plus 2 and y equals 2x squared plus 3x minus 4. Work out the coordinates of S and T. Now this is basically the intersection points. And just like with the previous video, whenever you see intersection points, you need to think simultaneous equation. So what I need to do is substitute this into this, or actually make them equal to each other, and then go on to solve it. So if I just make a little note of what they are, so I've got 2x plus 2 equals 2x squared plus 3x minus 4. Just quickly make a note of 2 are plus 3x. So in terms of go on to solve this, so let's take all of this over to the other side to make it equal to 0. So what I've got is I've got 2x squared, and then it's going to be plus x minus 6 equals 0. And then what I then want to do is factorize that, in which it does. So I get 2x plus 3 and x minus 2 equals 0, giving me x values of minus 3/2 or 2. And again, I don't need to work out what the y ordinates are because the question's only asked me to work out the x ordinates of those. So here we've got values of minus 3/2 and 2. Moving on to question 4, it says here are 4 attempts to solve the equations of the form of ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0 using the quadratic formula. They have been partially evaluated, and part 4a is asked 3 of the attempts have been correctly partially evaluated. 1 of the attempts is wrong. Circle the letter of the wrong attempt below. So what we need to do is we need to look at the components of what the formula actually is. So the quadratic formula looks like this. Now what you're needing to do is for you to actually work out the values of a, b and c and see if the values do equate. So for example, these values that I'm highlighting now are my 4ac. So the pink, let's do a little code. So that should be the 4ac part. This blue bit is my 2a. And the yellow part is my b, or minus b in some cases. And so what we need to do is just double check to make sure that is correct. Now looking at face value straight away, I can see that b is actually going to be wrong. And the reason for that is because if this is b, then b squared should be 36, not 64. So the one that is definitely wrong is b. Now for 4b, it says here is a graph of the quadratic equation of the form of y equals ax squared plus bx minus c. One of the attempt is correctly partially evaluated solution to ax squared plus bx minus c equals 0. For this equation, circle the letter of the attempt below. Now what we're looking for here is, as we can see, we've got no roots because obviously it doesn't cross the x-axis. It doesn't cross the x-axis, and so what we're looking for is we're looking for where the square root, so the number inside the square root is negative, because obviously you can't square root a negative number, which is why you end up with no solutions. So going back to our four expressions, which one would give us a negative value under the square root? Well, it's going to be C, so that there is our answer. Then moving on to question 5, it says solve the equation, and we've got a 3x squared plus 7x minus 8 equals 0, and the question's asking us to give the answer 2 decimal places. And because it's given a rounding indication, we want to go straight into using the formula. No attempts to work out the try and factorize it. So here we've got a equals 3, b equals 7, and c equals minus 8. So substituting this in, I've got minus 7 plus minus, and then 7 squared, which is 49, so let me just write it out, minus 4 times 3 times minus 8, all divided by 2 times 3. Now, if I then go on to actually simplify all of that, and what that then simplifies to give me is minus 7 plus or minus 145 over 6, and then type that into my calculator, which obviously this is going to be a calculator question, and rounding to 2 decimal places should have 0.84 and minus 3.17. Then moving on to, I think, our last question. So the equation says the equation x squared plus 2x minus 8 equals 0 can be written in the form of x plus 1 squared minus 9 equals 0. Below is the sketch of that equation. Work out the coordinates of the points A, B, C, and D. Now, in terms of these values, so A and D are the roots. So to work out A and D, that is when y equals 0. So if I substitute y equals 0 into this, then what do I get? Well, I'm going to get x squared plus 2x minus 8 equals 0. And then obviously I can then just go on to solve this. Now, in terms of does this factorize? Yes, it does. So I've got x, and it's going to be 4 and 2. Plus 4 minus 2. So here I'm looking for x ordinates of 2 or minus 4, and that's when y equals 0. So my coordinates then, well, I'm going to assume that this is going to be at 2, this is going to be at minus 4. So the coordinates of A is going to be minus 4, 0, and the coordinates of D is going to be 2, 0. Now C is basically where the y-intercept is. So C equals the y-intercept, and that basically is when x equals 0. Now if I substitute x equals 0 into this expression, I'm going to get minus 8. So this value here is at minus 8. So that means that the coordinate for C is going to be 0, minus 8. So 0, 8. Then to work out what B is, now B is the minimum point. So let me just write that here. So B equals the minimum point. And I can work that out from looking at my completing the square format. So that's x plus 1 squared minus 9. And so the minimum point is at minus ba, and that's when the form is in the form of x plus a squared plus b. So comparing these two, what I've got is that a equals 1, so minus a is going to be minus 1, and b is minus 9. So does that coordinate look correct? Well, yes, because I'm looking for a negative x value and a negative y value. So my ordinates then are going to be minus 1 and minus 9. And there we are done.